And we are now live. Hello, everyone. Give me 1 second to get this volume turned down a little bit. The joys of managing your own stream and doing all the fun stuff. How are we all doing today? So, it has been a week, and there has been a lot of time for me to think and sit and think about some of this stuff, and you know, the the crew of Brass Knuckles been kind of forefront of my mind because, I mean, you got a ship, you got to have a crew. Now, my original plan was to just, do a Spelljammer vessel and, like, hey, okay, let's move on to the next thing. But you may want to make your own. And so, you're going to have your own ships out there as well. So, we'll get on into that in a second. Just checking to make sure everything's gone live. Okay, so yeah, it looks like we're going out, broadcasting. Hope everyone's doing alright today. Going to do a couple quick announcements real quick before we get on into the work. So, first things off is we got about 3, I think. Let's see here now. How many people do we got following us now? I think we're at 32, so yeah, we're about 3 people short of doing our giveaway this weekend on Second Sight Agency campaign. So if you or someone that you know watches the show or wants to get into it or just wants to follow some stuff, encourage them to follow us because we get those 3 followers. We're giving away. Oh, hey, Equilibrium. How you doing? Glad you can join us. Where did the icon go? Oh, yeah, It is not displaying. Hold on. Sorry, I've been tinkering around with the, whatchamacallit, the thingy, the overlay. Ah, there we go. Logo got turned off. Hey, Tux. I may have to mess with the transparency a little there. Yeah, it got turned off by accident. It happens sometimes when I'm fiddling with the overlay. Okay, so move on that back to the live. Okay, can you see the logo now? I think you can see the logo now. I can see the logo now. Did not even notice it had vanished. Okay, so let's see here. Where was I? Okay, I was doing a quick update on the channel. We are just about 3 followers away, as I remember from hitting our 35 follower goal for the week. These are the dice. These nice blue and gold looking ones. Oh, Tux. I guess I got your numbers wrong. Apparently I modded some random person, Tux. Thank you very much. Tux. There you go. Okay. So, anyway, where was I? Blue and gold dice. We're giving away this weekend if we can get another 3 followers to get us up to the 35 follower goal. Looking forward to that. Let's see here now. Don't have a lot of announcements today on the GM's Brew stuff. I'm going to be doing the crew like I was talking about last week, which I'm looking forward to. We're going to get to do some actual character building. Okay. Yeah, I see no reason why not. Equilibrium, give me a little bit to get my stuff together. I remembered water this time. Apparently you have started me modding a bunch of people. Thank you, Tux. Remember, being a mod is not a right, it is a privilege. You have a responsibility to the channel and knighting words and fancy stuff like that. I don't know. Just do your best to, keep people from making the world a worse place, I guess. I don't have a lot of expectations, and I watch the chat pretty closely because my big thing here is, like, interaction and stuff. Now, on the Sunday stream, when I'm, like, busy telling everyone what to do and what is going on in the world around you, then things are a little bit different. But Yeah, anyway. So, GM's Brew, welcome. Last week we did a Spelljammer ship, and now we are going to be doing the crew for that. So, I decided on a three-person crew. Four-person crew. Uh, just because that's the standard size of adventuring party. Now, you can either add your characters or a sidekick to this if you're wanting to use this for your own games, and just like the brass knuckle is now up on the wiki, which should have a link down below the Twitch page on the Twitch site. This crew list will go up later. But what we're doing, even though the sidekick stuff came out in what was it? The D&D Essentials kit, which is super great for doing like one-on-one player stuff. I don't want to just use that because, one, it's copyright, and where's the fun in not making your own custom stuff when you can? And two, not everyone has the Essentials kit or the D&D Beyond or a Dungeon Master that will let you access their entire Dungeon Master's library on D&D Beyond. So, I already have NPC. Yeah, I generally discourage. See, there's two different kinds of NPCs, really. There's the basic NPC companion that is a person that the party brings along for like one adventure or to help out with something really big. If you're watching the Sunday stream Second Sight Agency, Reeve is basically a hireling that is going to be acting as an NPC companion for a little bit with the party. The other option is the DMPC, which is something I understand a lot of DMs enjoy or want to use just because sometimes you DM like 5, 6, 8 games before you get to be a player. But I generally feel a DMPC, a DM character that is supposed to be the equivalent of the player character, steals a lot of the spotlight and can alter the narrative too much, and even remove player impetus. So, NPC companions I prefer over at DMPCs, but to each their own. So anyway, I went ahead and grabbed a bunch of basic character blocks for working on this. And they're just like, here we go, the Acolyte. Actually, let me make sure that's actually visible. Yeah, okay. Sometimes the spacing gets a little messed up on this stuff. I don't know why it keeps on switching me over to the live thing. I'm not doing a giveaway today. Anyway, I did not think it would remove the chat as it was flowing, but anyway, no big deal. Anyway, where was I? Names, Acolytes. So, four characters we're going to be doing today. A Acolyte, which is going to be like your religious healer. A Apprentice Wizard, which is going to be both your spellcasting damage dealer and the power source for a Spelljammer Ham. That's something entirely different. The Apprentice Wizard would be the power source for the Spelljammer Helm. And so their spell level being first would allow them to provide propulsion for the Spelljammer ship. You can also have the Acolyte, your religious, your divine caster, power the ship. But generally, you want the person that can cast healing spells able to cast healing spells. Sorry about that. Dying a little here. Spelljammer Ham. I'm going to have to make a monster block for that of like a literal flying pig. Okay. So, welcome back, Google. I appreciate you sharing it. Thank you so much. Yeah, the more people that view us, the better. The more people that favor us or follow us, even better. The eventual goal is to get up to 50 followers so we can start working towards that Twitch partnership or affiliation or whatever. Because, yeah, Twitch affiliation, that's in goal. I mean, you want people to see your reach and stuff like that. So anyway, we have the Divine Caster, we have the Apprentice Wizard, we have the Bandit, which is going to be our skill. Yes, thank you, Tux. Yes, it is. That's why it's a long-term goal and not something I'm expecting to hit anytime soon. How's those character memories coming along? We have the bandit. This is like the skill monkey. You can don't see a lot of skills here, but we'll work on that during here. The first level of 50 followers gets a rebroadcast. Yes, I'm very much looking forward to doing the rebroadcasts as well. When we do get that unlocked, I am going to basically do hey, we are doing a marathon of our previous episodes. Because I think that'll make it a little bit easier. And the final block we're going to be modifying is the guard block, which is, your fighter, your frontline combatant, your wharf. So let's start with the Divine Caster, and I mean, right here, this is playable, this is fine. There's nothing actually wrong with this, but it's very generic and blank. So we're going to do some modifications to pretty much all of these like this. So let's start with, name is always a little difficult. So we'll probably save that for last. We're going to start with the race, I think. Now, we don't need optimize, so it doesn't need to be a race that will give a +2 to wisdom, but something that would give it at least a +1, or something that would make it more evocative would be nice. I really like dwarf clerics or divine casters, but let's see, there are some couple other options. We have orc, could be an interesting one. Let's see here. Half-elf is always a good one. Yeah, that's a good idea, Tux. Tiefling I could see as being a really interesting one as well. I know it doesn't get the bonus to wisdom that would make it a really good wisdom caster, but yeah, I can see a half-elf being good. So we're going to come on in here, we're going to change this medium humanoid, any race, to medium half-elf. And let's see, the half-elf get a +1 dexterity, a +1 to intelligence, and a +1 charisma. So that dexterity goes up to 11, that doesn't change that. That intelligence goes up to 11, that doesn't change that. And the charisma goes up to 13, which is a +1. So looking at this, I'm seeing this as a fairly charming, and he's going to work, he's got the medicine and the religion. So he's definitely, the emergency healer with that cure wounds, but he also is like just the ship's medic, it feels like. Let's see here. He speaks any one language, but let's go ahead and add Elvish to that on top of Common. Wait, do elves know Sylvan, or do elves know... I thought elves... Yeah. My brain just shut down on how to spell Elvish. We'll come back to that. In fact, I normally turn off... Give me 1 second. I'm going to just turn off these little undermarks here. I normally do that beforehand, just because they're a distraction. Okay, I can see that as an argument for having Sylvan Tux. And being able to speak an extra language or two is not that big of a change on the thing. E-L-V-I-S-H. Yeah, Elvish and Sylvan. So we'll make this, he or she's probably a cleric of, knowing Sylvan, I would say, like to make them like a nature cleric. of maybe one of the Archfey, or just as that. Oh, let's just go ahead and get rid of that challenge rating because we're going to be altering that. And really, don't look at I don't look at challenge rating too much when it comes to designing characters and NPCs, just because go with what makes sense for the situation, and if it gets bad or it looks difficult, just make sure your players have a method of getting out of the things. So let's see here now. We will give him Fey ancestry as well, which is the standard, doesn't sleep and can't be, and has resistance on charm and can't be put to sleep and stuff, which I will copy and paste in later. Let's see here. Being a half-elf, he has a dark vision of 60 feet. Is it 60 feet for half-elf? Yes. We already have the proficiency in 2 skills and the languages. So, I mean, that's a lot right there. That is more than enough for you to take this NPC and be like, hey, check out this dude. But let's get a little bit more. Let's give him something, a distinctive feature. Now, the DMG has a really nice distinctive features list. I've recently used that to make a bunch of NPCs that my players interviewed. But we're going to just see what rolls up and then see what we're going to get off of what we can derive from that. Not at level 1. Let's see here now. So 11 on that team is Birthmark. So an interesting birthmark. Well, since this is a cleric of a nature cleric dedicated to one of the Archfey, I can say something like, let's go ahead and put that name block in. Distinct in the form. Well, let's see here now. So, if this is linked to the Feywild and he's a nature cleric, something that's reminiscent of some force of nature or a concept of nature. So, I don't want to go with like the sun, but let's see here. Because the sun would be very much more in line with a light cleric. I don't know. We may come back to that one. But I like the idea of a birthmark, especially for like a cleric or other divine casters. Even like, especially like the that divine sorcerer subclass, the whole divine soul or something like that. Tree spreading over the lower. Okay, yeah, I could see that, like in the form of a tree on the lower left of there, because we haven't necessarily picked a gender for this character yet, and we don't need to put too much distinction on like the fact that it's shaped exactly like a tree or the colors or anything like that. We can just say it's a tree-shaped birthmark, and your players will imagine it as they will. So let's see here. I mean, they have to do something a little bit more than just like, we're a cleric. We want a little depth to them, something that they're interested in. So looking over this, well, you know what? Going with the cleric, let's borrow from some other things, especially if this is a nature cleric, and say they're an expert carpenter. And this is how I generally do like my NPC descriptions, is just bullet points at first, and then I'll flesh stuff out. And we don't need to explain why they're an expert carpenter, or even necessarily show it. But just to make sense, let's add the tool set. Fairly sure I misspelled that. Oh, no I didn't. And this serves a double function because, yeah, like Ziziva said, uh, they can act as do repairs on the brass knuckle if it gets damaged or banged up, making them doubly useful. So let's see here. But we still have an image and we know something they're good at, but what do they act like? What are their mannerisms? So throwing on the mannerisms table, enunciates overly clearly came up. So, yeah, I can see that very much. I am talking. This is extremely important. Please follow my directions. They feel that they need to make sure that the nature of their words is understood. They don't. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, a tourist dialect. Like, yeah. Especially since they know Elvish and Sylvan, the common would be louder too. Yeah, that is a tourist thing, isn't it? What enunciates overly clearly when speaking common. So there, that shows us that while they know common, they're clearly more comfortable speaking either the Elvish or the Sylvan that they know. So let's see here now. But what is their personality like? Are they boisterous? Are they quiet? Are they friendly? I can kind of see. See, I rolled on the trait table and they came up irritable, and that kind of jives a little bit, but it doesn't really feel right for a cleric. You don't want your cleric to be angry or annoyed too much with you. At least not at like the first level where, this is the person that's going to show up to heal your party as like the brass knuckle comes over to provide support, or you're joining up with their crew. So let's go with quiet is a little tropey though. I like curious. And that fits with their wisdom, because they're investigating and they're looking into things, and they like question and try and understand people's reasonings and stuff. So let's see here now. So next is, let's get some actual ideals and bonds, and the player character traits that make this a lot easier to interact with. So let's see here, the good ideal or evil ideal. Let's see. So a 6. So a good ideal. Let's go with self-sacrifice and responsibility for the lawful. So this is a lawful good character then. Which makes sense. So his ideal is ideals are responsibility and self-sacrifice. Yeah. Because, classic lawful good cleric, not necessarily like, paladin level where it's like, you have to follow this or otherwise I lose my powers and so I'm going to freak out at you. But more, I try to be good. I try and put others before myself. Let's see here. So, bonds. We know he has a bond. They have a bond to the ship and their crew, but let's give them also. Let's see, a valuable. Let's see, protective of a valuable possession. Bonds. So let's see here. Let's go. They're protective of their shrine to their archfey. So, yeah, a little religious book is easy to carry around. You could store that in a bag of holding or something like that. So it's very easy to lose that or sideline it so that it's not important. By making it a large, something that can't easily be stowed, it forces the NPC or the character, if someone uses this as a one-shot character, to actually have something that they have to actively take care of. So let's see here. Now, a flaw or a secret. These are the fun things. These are the things that, see, the bond, if your players find out that they're protective of the Archfey's Shrine, they can, basically, the ideals, the bonds, the flaws are things that your players or you can find out and use to affect your interactions positively or negatively with the NPC. So, say if a NPC figures out that the Acolyte has these ideals of responsibility and self-sacrifice, they can frame their argument as like, well, if you let us go off onto this by ourselves without any help, then you're leaving us to suffer whatever fate may come. Where to argue for getting some healing or something like that. So let's see. Secret or flaw would be a more exploitative thing. It's like, hey, I know this secret about you. Or, hey, I got this thing you want. Let's see here. A number 7 on that. He has a powerful enemy. Secret, then. Let's go with he has a rival. And, I mean, this is just stuff off of the DMG list, but just randomly generating gave us, like, a lot of stuff about this character that's pretty distinct, I feel. Let's see here now. Oh, I have multiples of those open. Why do I have multiples of that open? Okay. Well, sorry, going through some of my open notes and found I had several different opened, which, that's weird. I don't normally make that mistake. Anyway, don't mind me. I'm just being spastic. Don't need interaction traits. Got the menu. Yeah, we already did all that. So, I mean, this feels pretty complete, I think. So, really, we just need to decide on a gender and a name. So, let's take a look at pulling up my little list of names. Always have a list of names. It makes it very easy, especially when your players just go randomly to decide, oh, hey, we're going to go and visit a marketplace here. And it's like, oh, you're not going to go to the marketplace at home. Okay, well, let me find a name for someone. Never come up in the game at all, right? And for those of you that have access to it, Xanathar's Guide to Everything has a really nice section on just a bunch of random names for elves, half-elves, humans, of different ethnicities and other things. So let's just go ahead and pull that. Since we did pretty much everything else as a random, let's see what random elf name we have. And then we'll roll a D100 to figure out age and stuff like that. So, don't need the child name probably. So looking over this, I'm going to say let's go ahead and make the character female. Okay, so let's see here. First name 56. 56? Wait, where do I know 56 from? Leah. And last name, family name 66. Ran a lot of those range today. Netove. Netyoive. You find and replace name. That's actually what I would normally do, but I'm only going to use the full name at the front. All the other names are just going to be replaced with just Leah, because easy. So, oh, we already have an alignment too. Whoops, failing to edit sheet properly. Good job, Gyrnos. Leah. Okay, yeah, you're right. I'll do that for the next one. Okay, so here we go. Leah Netyovar. I am not pronouncing that right. Ideally, I would use a situation. I would use a pronunciation guide for this character. It's something I've started doing because Kitatirnos is an interesting name for a Veshino lizard folk, but difficult to remember how to pronunciate in like a moment's time. Let's see here now. Sacred Flame, Thaumaturgy. I don't see any real reason to alter the spell list, so I think we're pretty much good. Let's move on to the next crew member. An apprentice wizard, humanoid, any alignment. So we're going to basically go at this the same way, but this time I want to make sure it's actually, an optimized race to select. So let's see here. Something that has an intelligence modifier. Could be a straight elf that has a +1 at the base. Gnomes make good one. Nathaniel Zapworth. That's very much a gnome name. I think, yeah. So let's go with the suggested name. Yeah, Cars. That's actually one of the ones I wrote, like, the pronunciation for, and then I spelled the pronunciation instead of the actual name, which is how that happened in one of the pre-games. So Nathaniel Zapsworth. Forgot my comma. Don't know why that bugged me, but I forgot that. And male. No. Oh. Ugh. I try and keep my stuff fairly consistent on textual, what's italicize what's bold and stuff like that. Let's see, gnomes don't really do lawful, but he's probably still good, or at least neutral, so let's go with chaotic good, CG. Chaotic neutral, as per your request, Tux, chaotic neutral. So let's see, as a gnome, he gets a +2 to intelligence. He's already at 14, so that'll bump him up to the next modifier, +3. So need to remember to go down and make these +5. And that's not a huge jump. Let's see here. These also become +5. Passive. Wait, did I change her passive? Her wisdom didn't go up? That's right. Okay. Yeah, her passive's fine. See, this is the fun part about homebrewing. Is that, like, you move on to the next step, and halfway through the next step you realize, wait, did I do this on the previous step? So let's see. Gnome gets Gnome Cunning. Which, really? Control B. Which is the gnome's ability to, like, you know, hey, I know what that artifact does, and also their resistance against some magics. Well, yeah, you're right. It is kind of hard to get neutral wizards out of their books. But let's say that Nathaniel here considers the Brass Knuckle his home, and that he is on an extended research project. Yeah. Well, Firebolt doesn't set... Wait, does Firebolt set unattended items on fire or not? I know Burning Hands does. But, let's see here now. Where was I? Gnome Cunning. He has a speed of 25. We're not really... 25. Dark Vision, 60 feet. Let's see, speaks Common and Gnomish. I imagine so. Yeah. Tux has a propensity for playing gnomes that I have found interesting and frustrating in the past. Okay, so we got the race, and we got the alignment too. So let's go ahead and same thing with the... I'm going to cheat and copy the name so I don't have to spell Nathaniel every time. So let's figure out a distinctive appearance thing for him. While I rolled on the last one, I'm just going to look over the list and pick one. I'm going to say he has flamboyant or outlandish clothes, because that's always fun with a gnome. Mystery burns on his body is a little too edgelord. I can see him like dressing kind of like a very short Elton John almost. Whereas extremely flamboyant costumes. Hey Renines, how you doing? You enjoying that starter set? So let's see here now. So let's pick a talent for him as well. Not sure why that one bolded, but the previous one didn't. But anyway, let's see here now. So, speak so unbelievably lucky. Let's do something that's just completely... Because, I mean, we already have... He's the ship's wizard who is the propellant for it. He uses fire in a wooden environment, as Tux pointed out. He wears extremely flamboyant costumes, so let's go with... something that is kind of fun, but also useful. Let's make him great at one game. But what game? We'll go with the standard D&D Dragon Chess. Oh, glad to hear that D20 was being friendly with you. Daniel is great at Dragon Chess. So we'll give him a proficiency to represent that. And like you can see here, the nature of the character is affecting the stat block in some way. So if a character is good at one game, then he obviously has a proficiency in it. If a character is good at carpentry, they probably have a proficiency in that. Dragon chess. And Dragon chess is just chess, but with a fantasy flair. Or at least that's what I believe. Let's see here. So, mannerisms. I mean, gnomes are gnomes. I'm so very tempted to go with particularly low voice, as I know Tux may want to use this character at some point and has a propensity of using very loud, high-pitched voices, but I'm seeing this as a gnome with like a lot of pent-up energy. You can't really get him to sit still. Very gnomish ADHD, so let's say has a habit of fidgeting. And can't sit still. Yep. So how does he interact with others? Well, Leah has a curious personality, so don't really want to use that twice. Arrogant doesn't really feel right for this character either. He does have a lot of fire magic, and he's got a lot of built-up energy. So let's do hot-tempered, passionate. That's true. So, like I said, these bullet points is a great way to start out like a character, or a NPC, as like points to play off of. And as you play the character or the NPC, you can develop those a bit more. Like, why is Nathaniel great at Dragon Chess? Well, he played it with his father on a daily basis before he left home. Why does he wear extremely flamboyant costumes? He was the middle child, and so the oldest children and the youngest children always got more attention. So he started dressing more and more exaggerated fashions to catch attention. And so, I mean, these are just the starting points. Go with them where you may, and use them as you can. So, what does he actually look like, though? So, Oh, wait, do I have that same one twice? I have that same one twice. I don't know why I do. Close that. Okay. Oh, nice. Eladrin monks are fun. I really like Eladrins because of the whole I can customize my ability and my appearance on my uh, emotional feelings. So let's take a look here. So chaotic neutral as per suggested by Tux. So let's see. Ideals. Six on the chaotic is whimsy, which really works with the whole extremely flamboyant and fidgeting, can't sit still. Yeah, that's pretty much like every gnome in existence, Tugs. Let's see, four. Whimsy and See, this is an interesting one. Moderation. Whimsy and moderation. So I can see this as like dual aspects of the personality. Like, he wants to just have a lot of fun, but he also has this serious, studious streak where he recognizes that sometimes things go a little too far and it's best to step back. So even the counter personality ideals works for a way in this. So let's see here. Whimsy and... So he'd be very much, hey, let's go have a good time, go out, have a couple drinks, but he wouldn't be drinking to intoxication or throwing firebolts around the room. Bonds. So let's see here. Bond. 10. Let's see here. Out for revenge. Well, we already talked about how he spent a lot of time doing like dragon chess with his father on a daily basis. So let's say he's out for revenge because something happened to his father or his family. Out for revenge. Due to loss. So we have a little tragedy in the backstory. That adds a little bitter salt to like the sugary candy that it is basically this character so far. And it's up to the player or the DM how much that revenge drives his actions. But as it's Bond, it's something important to him. So let's see here. Flaw or secret? Has a powerful enemy. We already used that one, but envies another creature's possession or station. Let's use that as some. Let's modify that. Envies others' families. Having lost his own, he therefore like sees other people with their happy family and may need to work with uses on wardrobe. Nice, tricky adding for fun. Sure, I had a crush on one the teammate who endangered him. 3 entries for runnings, but I can help with costumes idea. Ah, okay. I really like the Shatterkai that you're talking about, Rennings. It's a very interesting flavor of elf. I kind of want to do a plain touched version for a lot of different races, because we mostly have plain touched versions of the elf and the human with the Ganassi, the Tiefling, and the Asmer on the human, and the Shatterkai and the Eladrin on the elf. But I mean, what happens when an elf has a baby with a fire genie or something like that? That's one of those things that I'm thinking that'll be probably in a later episode. Let's see here now. So, Flaw Secret. So, Name time. Oh wait, no, we already have a name. I don't need the name chart on this one. Thank you very much, Tux. So, let's give this quick once over, take a look at them, see if I miss anything. And everything needs to be gone over 2 or 3 times when you're doing homebrew. And it's fine if you miss something. It's fine if you miss something, you can always go back and fix it. Just like, tell your players, oh hey, I forgot this, or oh hey, it turns out that this ability is ridiculously powerful and so I have to nerf it a little bit. Don't be afraid to go back and make edits. Like, a couple of my homebrew subclasses, especially the food domain, is going to be getting a rework soon as the feast domain. I really want to get that less away from being about cooking food and more about sharing food with friends and family. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with Nathaniel here. Yes, Arcane, Dragon Chest passive. Yep. Common Gnomish, first level, Firebolt, Mending, Prestidigitation. The Mending is a good stopgap measure until Leah can grab her carpentry tools and get to work on fixing the stuff. And I can see him using Prestidigitation as, celebration, fireworks, or making little fancy baubles or colorations and stuff. Remember, Nathaniel is going to be the one that's hooked up to the helm most of the time, so he's not going to be able to use his spells while he's piloting that. Alright, so let's move on to the Bandit. This is going to be our rogue adjacent character, the Skill Monkey. In fact, I kind of want to make him a proto-bard more than a rogue. Is it him or is it a her, though? Thomas Schmitty. Schmitty. Very tempting to me, Tux. Let's take a pick at race first. So, we've done some kind of standard race with, gnomes are unusual. Alright, let's get a vote. Does anyone else want to have this proto-bard named Schmitty? Please don't actually vote yes. I already got a short character, already got a half-elf. Let's go with a tiefling. Tieflings make good bards. The intelligence boost won't hurt either. Human's kind of basic. We'll name the warrior Schmitty. Yeah. So, medium. We're replacing this with tiefling. No, I don't want to ban people just for anything like that. No, honestly, I'm very much against the idea of banning and censorship. If someone abuses the chat privileges, that's one thing, but yeah. So anyway, tiefling, non-lawful alignment. So we already have a chaotic neutral, we have a lawful good, so we need something that can work alright with that, that's not lawful. So let's go with just true neutral. The tiefling is very much a you don't cause me problems, I don't cause problems with you kind of personality I'm feeling. So that's a +1 that's to their intelligence, so that puts that at 11. And +2 to charisma, which will put that at a 1. So they're not exceptional bards, they're just getting started, and I did not do the spacing correctly. Okay, so tieflings get the Infernal Legacy. Which gives them, like, a couple spells and stuff like that. I think Hellish Rebuke and Darkness later on and stuff like that. Senses, Passive Perception 10. Have I been putting Dark in its own? Yeah, I have been instead of Senses. Dark Vision up to 60 feet. Speaks Common. And Infernal. I don't really like that the languages is based on the race, because it doesn't necessarily make sense that a tiefling that has no interaction with Infernals would speak Infernal. Because, I mean, you're not born knowing English or Spanish or whatever language you use. You learn it over time. So, oh wow, we're already almost at 3 o'clock. Glad we're almost finished with the crew. Always interested to see other homebrewed stuff. Let me know what you think about that homebrewed race runnings. So let's see, Tefling. Okay, what's going on now? Something about glasses. Oh, right. I have to wear mine, otherwise I won't be able to read my notes. I mean, he's going to become the skill monkey. This is like for level 1 starter stuff. So, we should give him 2 skills, though. What is the thing that has the skills tool proficiencies? Actually, you know what? He's literally just starting, and the bandit is a lower CR. So I can see this as being someone that just picked up. Let's just go ahead and give him a tool proficiency and a music instrument, and we'll leave it at that for now. Oh. So, what instrument? I am partial to the drum and the horn for bards, just because they're great for like going into combat, but this isn't a combat bard just yet. He's not even learned his spells and stuff. This is a proto bard. So let's give him, yeah, let's give him a lute. It's a little tropey, but it's classic for a reason. And I know some of y'all don't particularly like the lute, but it's a classic for a reason. And we'll give him, as Tux suggested, proficiency in sleight of hand, which would be +3, and perform, which would be +3. Okay. Yeah, 50 gold is quite a bit. You would have probably been able to get a discount on it. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab that name now. Tiefling names. I love the tongue drum. Like, the video you showed me of that, Ziziva, was very like, oh wow, that is awesome. Anyone that has, once this is over, go and Google tongue drum. As much fun as it is to say, it is actually a kind of a cool instrument. So I'm pulling up the tiefling name list. Tieflings tend to name themselves either after the culture that they're born in, uh, such as human or wherever, or after an ideal. So let's just go with this tiefling uses an ideal, and I guess we need to pick a virtue name, not an ideal name. So let's just pick a gender for it as well. We already have a male and a female, so let's go with another female. Let's see here. She's just starting out, so I kind of want her to be doubt. I like that. And as she gets... No. As she gets more practice and skilled, she'll probably change her name to something like Chant or Debauchery or Muse. But for now, we will go with that. But she needs an actual name too, just for like, on official forms and stuff. How about Renobi? Doubt. And just for you, Tux Schmidt. Not Schmitty, Schmidt. Renobi Schmidt, also known as Doubt. Female tiefling, true neutral. So let's get like the personality stuff in a little bit. I want to get that that appearance, that idea of like the first thing the players see that you describe. 5. Ragged, dirty clothes. That doesn't really feel right. Unusual skin color. I mean, tieflings are by default, blue, red, purple. Let's go with onyx. She has onyx black skin and glowing red eyes. That's pretty damn distinctive, I feel. So, the talents. 18. Skilled actor or master of disguise doesn't really work because she's just getting started. But she has like some latent talent. So instead, we'll go with she has a beautiful singing voice. Beautiful. Fine, you fix it for me, Word. So she has a beautiful singing voice, but she's untrained, so she's still learning. Well, yes, she has onyx black skin and glowing red eyes is her description. We're just doing like the bullet point descriptions and stuff like that right now. Oh, deception. I thought you said description for some reason. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Deception +3. And that actually kind of fits with... I mean, these are stat blocks. These aren't full characters. These aren't even really full NPCs. These are the start of them. An NPC or a character only really becomes something when you start playing it and you find like, oh, this character is apparently like this, even though I did not expect her to be like this. So, onyx black skin, glowing red eyes, has a beautiful singing voice, What is her mannerisms like, though? 13. I kind of want to make her... Yeah, I'm thinking that she's got a little swagger, but it's more... it's more, acting tough than actually is tough. So, how about Doubt uses colorful oaths. So, like, she cusses like a sailor, and she uses... her charisma is only at 12 right now. Again, proto-bard. So yeah, she covers up for like her doubt and her nervousness with colorful oaths and exclamations. She curses like a sailor and stuff like that. She puts on a very tough front. And that works pretty well with her kind of intimidating appearance of like the onyx black skin and the glowing red eyes. But what's she like underneath that act? What is her actual interaction trait? Well, with the colorful oaths and the exclamation, she tends to be a little rude, I would think. So yeah. And in some cases it's rude insulting, and in some cases, depending on how she likes the person, it's rude as in I'm going to tell you the truth even if you don't particularly like the truth. So, and her... Wait, oh, there we go. Let's see here now. Let's go to... Ideals. There we are. Couldn't find my notes for a second. So she's true neutral. So she's basically going to be... leave me be, I'll leave you be. So she idealizes balance, but also aspiration. So she's very much a stay grounded, stay stable, not too good, not too evil, but also aspiring to become better than what she currently is. A very look to the stars kind of idealism. Bond. We are already at an hour, and I plan on doing this for an hour and a half. I think this may have to be a 2-hour-long show, which I am fine with the idea of. Let's see. She's protective of colleagues and compatriots. That makes a lot of sense, and also explains like why she's putting on this tough front. She wants her friends to feel like they can rely on her. And flaws, secrets, and that same thing would be a good flaw for her, which would be foolhardy bravery. She has to act brave because she's worried that if she doesn't, that her friends will not, feel they can rely on her. And so there's like a lot of good like roleplay potential in this one. I really feel that you could really tease out in a lot of moments between characters or between characters and NPCs. I really like how this one came out. Even if she doesn't have ideal stats, she has a good grounding base. So the last thing is the tough, the guard, the wharf. And we've done some kind of semi-standard races on these, so I want to do something a little out there. Let's see here now. What's a Hulkwork? See, I can do it too. Spelljammer. Hang on. It's both of them a little big. Well, I already made the Wharf reference. Let's go with a Hobgoblin. They're very military-minded. They would use just the base stats too, so that's not bad, but it has martial advantage. And it's... I would say lawful evil would make more sense for it. It's like, this is my crew, my contract says I protect them, and so I will follow the letter of my contract. G-O-B. And make him lawful evil. So he's there for his own reasons, but his reasons are aligned with the party enough that he does not actively disrupt or cause problems. And normally I would pull the Hobgoblin base for this, but since this is like an NPC meant to be used by a player, we want to keep on roughly the same level. So I'm going to just use this. With those stats, I could see him going Barbarian, I could see him going Fighter, or doing like a Fighter dip and passing on that Barbarian Capstone. I mean, the Barbarian Capstone is ridiculously good, especially compared to some of the other Capstone abilities. Common and Goblin. But, I mean, getting access to Second Wind and Action Surge is not a bad thing. Let's see, and Hobgoblins don't really have any racial change to the stat block in the... Yeah, I could definitely see Barbarian working. It would probably start as a Barbarian and maybe pick up a level of... This is pre-class. This is like, you know, here are your base characters. We're going to do this mini-adventure. If you like it, you can move on to a level 1 class, and we'll make the changes and roll actual stats and stuff like that. So he has martial advantage, which I will have to look back up, but I feel like, I think if I remember correctly, martial advantage gives a Hobgoblin advantage when he's fighting side by side with his allies, or something along those lines. Let's see, Dark Vision. Out to 60 feet. I love Dark Vision races, I really do, just because it removes the whole do we need to track our lighting and stuff. But a lot of people forget that just because you have Dark Vision doesn't mean you're not rolling with disadvantage in a lot of situations. So let's see here now. Dark Vision comes... Okay. So yeah, there's not a lot of modifications that need to be done on this one, which I'm fine with. Real quick question for y'all, since I can't see the actual what's going out, is the chat, it's not being blocked too badly by the logo, I hope. If it is, let me know and I'll adjust the transparency. Upgrading stat blocks to pair as a video topic. I'll tell you what, Tux. You get a Thursday off sometime. You can guest star on a episode of GM's Brew, and we can grab a couple stat blocks and upgrade them to player characters. So let's see here now. Let's get to. That's the fourth one. So we need a name. Hobgoblin names. I kind of want to. I see like hobgoblins as kind of militaristic, Romanish. Cole. It doesn't feel too right. Let's pull up a list of Roman names. Yes, I have a list of Roman style names. I think I do. French, German, Greek, Indian, Japanese, Mesoamerican, Niger, Congo. Really? Norse. Norse could work, especially if he's a barbarian. Or he's on a barbarian path. I'm thinking, let's go with a Norse. Oh, wait, yeah, I do have Roman names. Whew. I thought I was losing my mind there, folks. Okay, so 87. Oh, I love it. I love everything about this. For those of you that do not believe that, oh, hey, Amy, we started about an hour ago, but we're probably going to be going for like another 45 minutes or so. So, if you do not believe me, if you check Xanthar's Guide to Everything, they have a list of human names, which is what I decided to use. And if you check under the human Roman name, under 87 to 88, Octavius. So this hobgoblin's name is Octavius. I am not going to give him a last name because I would have to name him Otto, and then I would be in trouble with Marvel and Disney. And you don't want to be in trouble with Marvel and or Disney. Yeah, I have to remember the rank titles, which is what's slowing me down a little on that. So let's see, source book. They are in Volos, I believe, as player characters. So, this is our fourth one, but we're not really making characters so much as we're modifying stat blocks. These are proto characters. Like you would do one adventure and then pick a class for them. Goblinoids conquering. I mean, he's got an intelligence of 10. That's like, average level intelligence. Okay, that's goblin status symbols, bugbears, gang mythology. Okay, here we are. So he's fairly... I don't want to make him too high in rank. Let's go with Octavius, Fist of the... and need a legion name for him. So let's see. Roll for fantasy. Not roll for fantasy, what is it? Fantasy name generator? Never be afraid to use a random generator, my friends. No, I'm not using North Star. That's... I'm getting contradictory instructions from my viewers. Let's see here now. Other names. Let's see, either tribal or is there a legion? If you're looking for random generators, fantasynamegenerators.com is a wonderful collection of name generators that I have used periodically throughout time. Language tux. Yeah, I'm seeing him as kind of buff. That's why I'm saying he can either go fighter or barbarian, depending on whoever's playing him. Let's see here now. Oh, that's a different tribal name generator than I expected. I grabbed the first tribal name generator I found, clicked random, and it came up with flowers blooming at night, which is not really working for a hobgoblin. Hobgoblin, oh, go away, you. Legion. Place names, other names, so... See, I want tribe names, not tribal names. Very different. Let's see here now. English. Let's see here. Oh, Half-Scar Warriors. That's not a bad one. Let's not just pull that one directly, though. Let's see here. Bone Scar. That's a good one. Octavius Fist of the Bone Star Warriors would be his official title. Bone Scar Warriors being the legion or tribe that he's pledged to, and Fist being his rank. Let's see here. So that gives us his name. Copy that so I don't have to type it over and over and over and over again. I'm getting a lot of really good... let's see here. Tribe name... Oh, let's see. There is actually a link, a list of, quote-unquote standard, rank names in the base system. Let's see here. The lowest rank is Soldier. It goes first rank is Warlord, second rank General, third rank Captain, fourth rank Fatal Axe, fifth rank Spear, sixth rank Fist, seventh rank Soldier. So he would be sixth rank. Blah, blah. So he's like one step above a common soldier. But he's for some reason not with the Bone Scar Warriors Legion. So something may have happened to that Legion, or he may have defected, or he may just be acting as a mercenary. Oh, I would be happy to hear your original rank idea, Amy Chibi. And while you're typing that up, I'm going to get started on his descriptive feature. Enforcer. I don't dislike it. If he's called an enforcer of that, I would feel that he would be more likely to be with the tribe as a protector. Oh, okay, enforcer. I don't know why I was thinking protector. Sorry. It's been a day, and... Oh my gosh, has it been a day. I like that. Enforcer. Enforcer of the Bone Scar Warriors. Okay, so let's get a descriptive feature of him. Something that'll grab the player's attention when you describe it. Tattoos. Oh, I love that idea that he wears his victories on his body. A broken nose actually has a big significance to bugbears, especially if they have like a blue or a red nose. Otherwise, I would go with that one as it's a very classic, like this guy gets in some fights. But Octavius. I like the idea of him having tattoos on his body or his face of like battle scenes and his victories and opponents that he's defeated. As a way of displaying his glory and honor. Yeah. Yeah, he has, yes, some scarification as well. A very much a these are my trophies kind of personality. So he doesn't have to carry the trophies with him because the trophies are a part of his body. So, talent. Something that he's good at beyond just hitting things with his spear. I like that. I really do, but it doesn't really seem to... Yeah, honestly, I love minotaurs and tieflings with, like, scrimshawing on their horns. I want them to be... Okay, I'll give them Intimidate and Survival because it makes sense. And those are going to be at +2 because he doesn't have bonuses in Charisma or Wisdom. Again, these aren't characters, these are NPC stat blocks. You could give these to a player and say, we're going to use these as in a one-shot, and if you like them, you can keep them and we can add a class. And then just use these as a basic for creating an actual character. So, I want something that makes him more than just a fighter. Because we already see that he's like a warrior with the spear, with the chain armor and shield, and with the battle tattoos. I want him to be a painter. He paints. I like that. I like the idea of, like, you know, the warrior poet, the artist who maybe he could, if depending on the path of advancement that he takes. But right now he paints, I think. Yeah, he could do his own tattoos as a paint. Let's see here, skills, tool proficiencies. Painter supplies. Painters. Supplies. I probably have misspelled a ton of stuff on this, but that's okay. This is just roughing stuff out. We're going to go back. I'm going to go back later, give everything a once over, spell check, and fix stuff. There's not a skill. There are some ways to make, like, living tattoos and stuff like that. Yeah, we did just pick up Pathfinder 2nd Edition. That is a beast of a book. 600 pages. Yeah, I would say it's a minor illusion that possibly could be rendered permanent through as a minor magical item. So if you wanted to get, like, his tattoos animated later, once he managed to get 50 gold saved up, he would be able to pay for it, and it would take a couple days of work. Can paint beautifully. Beautifully. Okay, so let's see here now. What's his mannerisms like? We don't want him to just be like hulking grr, duh. Needs something a bit more to him than that. Don't want him to be, like, on the far end either, though, with using flowery speech or long words. Let's say he stares into space. He kind of stops and takes it all in periodically. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just how it is with hobgoblins. They're like, I don't know you, I don't trust you. I'll let you in when I do know you and I do trust you. I mean, if you're doing like a this is using stat blocks to create character NPCs. Um Next episode I'm going to be doing like a little mini adventure set. So yeah, the next episode I'm going to do an adventure that you can give these stat blocks to your players and have them go on. And then the episode after that, I'm going to be doing like a setting home base for the brass knuckle to dock at. So when we do that, we'll do like some non-stat block based character NPC generation. These are going to be NPCs that you don't expect your players to fight. That would probably not try and fight. That they would instead run, which is a little bit different of a design process. But it's important to know how to do them in both ways. So let's see here now. We have his interaction trait. Ideals. Now, I'm leaving off things like useful knowledge and stuff like that because since I'm expecting these to be handed out to to players as like a introductory adventure, the players and the DM should come up with like useful knowledge or things that the characters know. This is just a guideline for people to play. I would say he can play it. He's probably not as good at it considering that his intelligence isn't too high, but he enjoys the strategy aspects of it. Okay, so he is lawful evil. So, under the lawful, his ideal is community, which is very fitting for him. But he also values might. That's not bad. Community and might. So his ideal is like we are all as a legion. We are a community. We stand together. But he's also very much the strong as a important aspect of the community, that the powerful lead the community, but the powerful also protect the community. The pilot, by default, would be the, let me pull him up, Nathaniel Zapworth, a male gnome, chaotic neutral. He would be the one that by default would be attuned to the helm. He would be the one that directs, like he acts as the propelling force, but that does not necessarily mean that he is the one that decides where they go. And yeah, I'll do a quick recap at the end. I want to finish up Octavius, and then we'll do a quick recap, and then I would like to... the gnome doesn't have a rank. The rank is for the hobgoblins place in Hobgoblin Society. Hobgoblins are a very regimental society, so he carries his rank even if there are no other hobgoblins around. In fact, by nature of the fact that he is the only hobgoblin on the crew, his rank would be even more important to him, because it is how he would measure himself against any other hobgoblins that he may encounter. So let's see here now. Bond. So, what is important to Octavius? Dedicated to fulfilling a personal life goal. So, let's see here. Yeah, I can see the dedicated to fulfilling a personal life goal on this chart as being a variable. Like, say he's been expelled from the Bone Scar Warriors for a failure in battle. And so he wants to... It's very important for him to fight strong, glorious battles to build up his glory and honor in the hopes of maybe one day being readmitted to his legion. And, now that we're talking about him having glory and honor, while he is definitely brawny enough to go barbarian if a player wanted to take him barbarian, I could see a player taking him fighter, and at 3rd level taking the samurai archetype as a very leaning into that almost Wudai playstyle. So let's see, flaws and secrets. As much as I love pets, and any one of these can have a pet, I don't like to start players with pets unless the player wants to start with a pet. Because pets can be a liability in some games. For example, like in Critical Role, Laura Bailey, her character Jester has a number of pets. And constantly she is having to worry about, did my weasel just get splattered by this teleportation spell? Is my dog with me? Is he going to be attacked? Is my dog now unconscious because the wizard got charmed and threw a fireball at us? So if a player wants a pet, I say you can get a pet. But I don't start the players with an example character with a pet, because that's an obligation that the player has to decide that they want to make. I could see that as a cute little pet, yeah. Especially if, the player that takes Octavius leans into it. Okay, so flaws, secret. Let's see. What is his secret? What is his flaw? Oh, a specific phobia. Oh, that is wonderful. That is both a secret and a flaw. Oh, yeah, Actually, I'm thinking Tanophobia. He's afraid of dying. And that's what made him run. That's what made him, get cast out of his tribe, is that he was in battle, and he got scared, and so he did not perform well in the battle, and so the Legion went, "You are weak," and cast him out. And so every time he enters into a fight, he's having to fight against his own fear of combat. That is a lot to unpack for a character. That is a lot of depth just from that one thing that I really like. So he's not a coward, because you can still be afraid of combat. You can still be afraid of something. I don't think that the Hobgoblin Deity of Fear is still alive. I know that the Bugbear have one. Let me pull up my book. For those of you who do not have it or haven't ever looked into it, D&D Beyond is a wonderful resource. It is just tons of every official D&D release and a lot of bonus stuff that easily accessible and easily sorted. Yeah, it's the bugbears that still have their God of Fear. Yeah, no, this is just literally me as a person who has had D&D Beyond since day one and continues to pour money into it, saying, I love this, it is great, and it has made my life so much easier. So, let's see here. Secret flaw, scared of combat. But yeah, just because you're scared of something doesn't mean it keeps you from doing what you need or want to do. So he would still wade into combat as it is his duty. And that fear of combat makes his ideal of strength even stronger. So let's take a look at the crew of the Brass Knuckle then. First off, we have Leah. She's a female lawful good half-elf. She is a cleric of a Archfey nature cleric if she wants to go down that route. She could also go druid, honestly, and be just as good. She has a distinct birthmark on her of a tree on her lower left face. She is an expert carpenter. She learned common, so she speaks it overly clearly. And she has a curious personality. She sees responsibility and self-sacrifice as ideal things. She has a personal shrine that she is very protective of. And she has a rivalry with another worshipper of an opposing archfey. So she's very much the Seelie versus the Unseelie. And it brings a touch of the Feywild with her into the Spelljammer setting, which is nice. Let's see here. We have Nathaniel Zapworth, male gnome, chaotic neutral. He could be a wizard. He could be a sorcerer. He could even be a warlock. Well, he wouldn't be a great warlock. He's definitely by far with this stat block best as a wizard. Did I not give the... I may have forgotten to do the dexterity bonus on Nathaniel. I will check my paperwork later. He wears extremely flamboyant costumes, like just sparkly, glittery, glitzy stuff with like big dresses and stuff. Yeah. He's great at Dragon Chess just because of how smart he is, not necessarily because of how tactical he is. He's got a lot of pent-up energy. He can't sit still, and he fidgets a lot. But he's also very hot-tempered and passionate. The things that are important to him are like super important, and those are turned all the way up to 11. I like that. Ace of Aces. Whimsy and moderation are very important to him, so it's important to have fun, but it's important to also make sure to not overdo it. And he's out for revenge due to a loss of his family, whether his family has been taken from him or his family has died. And so, due to missing his own family, he has an envy of other people's families. We have Renobe Doubt-Schmidt, a female tiefling. She's our proto-bard, possibly rogue skill person. And she has onyx black skin, glowing red eyes, so she has a very distinctive, noticeable appearance. And a beautiful singing voice, even though she doesn't have like a super great charisma. Like, she has the foundations for being a great bard in there. She uses colorful oaths and exclamations and tends to be rude to others, but this isn't to be mean, this is to put up a false front. She sees balance as an important aspect. She wants to maintain that I'm not so far to one side that I lose sight of who I am in the service of good, but not so evil that, like, I can't see the good in people. And she aspires to be greater than herself. She wants to be that bard. She wants to be the legendary rogue. And so she's protective of her friends because she sees them as both people that she cares about, but also as a means of gaining that gaining what she aspires to. But she wants her friends to trust in her, so she puts on this foolhardy, brave act with the colorful oaths and exclamations and the rude to people when she doesn't need to be, because she wants them to see her as a tough, reliable person. I can see her really acting out, especially around Octavius, wanting him to respect how tough and powerful she is, not fully realizing that Octavius carries his own shame of having run from a combat and being driven out of his legion because of that. And we have Octavius, enforcer of the Bone Scar Warriors, a lawful evil male hobgoblin. He has tattoos of his glorious actions and battles, but they may not be real. We know that he's scared of combat, so they could just be stories he made up, or they could be like actual events from his training that he was not fully. Thank you, Tux, for shipping that. That he was not a full participant in, even though the tattoos would show him as being the front line in the battle, or the defiant stand against the overwhelming force. He can paint beautifully. He has this like painter's soul where he sees beauty in the mundane and he puts it on paper, but it's not a skill that's combat oriented. It's not something that the Legion would have valued much, and so it's something that, even though he can do it greatly and he feels compelled to because it feels good when he's painting, he's also ashamed of it, so he either destroys or he hides the paintings. And that's what leads him to staring into the distance, to taking in his surroundings. He stops and he sees the beauty and the wonder in the world about him, and he sees how he could put that on the canvas, and he commits it to memory. And so while others see him as stopping and just staring blankly off, maybe taking in the surroundings, thinking, oh, he's looking for tactics, he's checking for exits, he's just going, that is a beautiful landscape. I can do that in pastel greens with verdant colors. He's very much from being raised as a hobgoblin in the Legion, he's very much community and might are what makes a group stay together, and he's dedicated to building his personal glory and honor because that's what he's been taught to do, and he hopes that by doing that he may either find his way into a new Legion or be reaccepted into the Legion that he grew up in. But deep down he's still scared of the combat, seeing the destruction and the pain and the suffering around him and how it leads to more pain and suffering. So I really like this crew. These are great to use as an NPC if, say, your players encounter the brass knuckle, or you could give these sheets, these stat blocks to the players, especially if they're new players, because this takes a lot of the you need to know about this, you need to know about this out, and it's just here's your character, here are what you get a plus to, this is what your character is good with using, these are the spells your character can cast, and these are like some bullet points about what your character is good at. And that can get a player who is not comfortable designing their own character or is still learning a means of exposing themselves to the game and getting into how this works. So these characters, I'm going to give them a once-over later in the week, and pass them over to Zizva to upload to the wiki. Again, the wiki is down below. We are still 3 followers short of our goal of 35 followers for this week. Hopefully we will hit that by break time on Sunday, and we will be able to do the giveaway for these nice little blue and gold dice sets. I'm thinking that we're pretty much done with the character stat block generation. So I'm going to basically open this up. Does anyone have any homebrew ideas or anything like that they would want to talk about? I've really enjoyed having y'all out here. I had a load of fun with this. Let's see here now. What do y'all think about the chat on the side? This is for, like, if people are watching in the future, they can actually see what I'm responding to. Because if you go back and watch the previous episode, I'm just making random responses, it seems. Can there be a rat catcher, either a dog or a cat? You mean like as a ship pet, ship mascot? I don't see why not, but again, a pet is something that's very can be a huge liability and can actually really hurt players to, like, oh, I had this dog, he was my job to protect him. Chat window up permanently rather than disappear. Okay, I will look into getting that done as well. But it's... yeah. This is an evolving thing. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do with that little bar down at the bottom underneath the text block. Monkeys can make interesting pets. But again, it's one of those situations, like, unless someone is going to play the pet or someone actually asks for a pet, I do not like starting people with pets. It's why, like, any of the background stuff where it says you start with a pet mouse or you start with a pet rat, I ask the players, do you want to have this? Because a lot of times that's the players think, yes, I do, but then the player feels really bad when something happens to that pet. So, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying don't have pets. Pets are great. Pets are fun. They make a lot of really good roleplay opportunities, especially with non-pet, non-familiar classes like, you know, fighter or cleric, having their own pet as a symbol of, like, their training or as, like, a mascot from their monastery or something. And D&D can carry... yeah, I'll go ahead and allow it. There is not a specific set of rules for that in the official stuff. Yeah. Amy Chibi asked, in D&D, can a character be a courtesan? There's not a specific set of rules for that, but... terribly sorry about that. I've been talking for like 2 hours. It is entirely up to your dungeon master how to implement something like that. Yeah, it would... there are, like, a number of homebrew backgrounds for stuff like that. And there are a number of unofficial supplements that are, like, how to incorporate adult themes into your game. And now, as a personal level, I am fine with the idea of incorporating adult themes if everyone is comfortable with it. Pretending that there is no courtesans or brothels or anything like that it feels disingenuous to me, especially considering that, like, from the 70s going forward, we have all these beefcake and cheesecake pictures of, like, half-naked fantasy men or women. I'm not saying that it's right or that it's good. I'm saying that it was a thing. We need to acknowledge that and acknowledge that it's something that if someone is interested in, that's fine, because that's what that person is interested in. But I would say, yeah, Tux is probably right. The easiest way to introduce a Coruscant type character would be a socially focused bard. But there are plenty of homebrew out there, and there's plenty of background out there that would function for that. Now, there are certain restrictions on what we can and can't talk about or do depictions of on Twitch. So it's one of those things that I would not be comfortable doing a homebrew episode on. Oh, Aboleths? I love Aboleths. They are a really interesting monster that can be used either as a protagonist or just as like a, hey, there's this Aboleth that's hanging out around here. Why don't y'all go and find out what it wants before it eats us all? Quarter. Oh, yes. I love that background, especially if you want like a noble without, the noble stuff. And you can adapt courier. You can adapt them to a lot of different styles. So maybe it's not necessarily a court that they're connected to, or it could be they're connected to like one of the Fey courts from the Feywild. So a lot of the backgrounds are really adaptable. But yeah, Aboleths, and with Mordekainen's Tome of Foes and with the Ghost of Saltmarsh, we actually got like some more adjacent to Aboleth creatures. Like, I think they're called the Skoom or something like that. I haven't listened to Matthew Mercer pronounce it on D&D Beyond. But it's a person that has been infected with a variant of the Aboleth's toxin. And they... Let's see here. Oh, yeah, I've seen a couple of those how to build characters on YouTube. There's a lot of really interesting ones out there. It's kind of theory crafting that a lot of people really like. I don't really go into doing that very much because I don't want to like say here's how you would build this from first to 20th level. I would like to give players like here is the base of this. What can you make this character into? So it's two very different styles of theory crafting and homebrewing, but it is a wonderful video series. And if honestly, YouTube has a ton of great videos about stuff. Thank you, Tux, for reminding me that I need to continue reading the Shadowrun book on top of my other stuff. YouTube has a lot of resources. There's a lot of resources on D&D Beyond. There's a lot of resources. Just search D&D generators. A lot of slimes and oozes are descended from a demon lord called Jubilex. That is, he's basically a giant living slime. And many of the slimes that exist are offsplit of him or derivative of his power set. He's featured in, I want to say, Mordekainen's Tome of Foes, but he's also mentioned in the D&D adventure Out of the Abyss. And that's one of those things I'm going to talk about next week is D&D Adventures, the actual book sets, and the Adventure League mini adventures and stuff like that. But we've been going for almost 2 hours at this point, so I'm going to open this up to like just one more quick set of questions if anyone has. Otherwise, I would like to remind you all that we're going to be playing D&D set in Ravnica this Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Time. And we will have that video uploaded sometime next week for those of you who aren't able to make it to the actual live airing of it. So, last chance. One last question from anyone. Nope. Oh, thank you so much, Amy Tribute. I really appreciate that. Please tell your friends we're always trying to grow our follower count. The more people that watch us, the better. And I do recognize a number of y'all that log in regularly. I'm not going to call y'all out by name because y'all don't not always talk in the chat, and that's up to y'all. That's fine. I just ask anyone that watches, follow us, show us to your friend, ask them to follow us. Excellent. I would love to see that Aboleth painted. So yeah, that's 2 hours. I hope you all have a great day. I am going to get something to eat because I had like a chicken sandwich sometime around 9 a.m. and I'm getting kind of hungry. But yeah, follow us on Twitch. Subscribe. Oh, hold on. Follow us on Twitch. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at Bonus Roll. Thank you, everyone who shows up regularly to watch or listen. Even if I don't call out your names, I recognize like a lot of your names as having been logged in again and again and again, and I really appreciate it. I'm just trying to make content and share stuff with y'all, and the fact that y'all are showing up, I really appreciate. It means so much to me that I can't even really express it in words. I would like to thank Tux and Zizva for joining me in the chat today, as well as Amy Chibi, and welcome. My brain just shut off on me again. And would like to welcome, even though they're not here right now. Who is it? Equilibrium. I wanted to say Eclipse. I knew that wasn't right. I would like to welcome Equilibrium as our first non-player mod to this channel. I really appreciate you volunteering. Rennings, I don't think I'm modded. Rennings, if you want to be a mod, let me know. You've been around quite a bit, and I am fine with that if you want to. Yeah, they both had to check out earlier. But anyway, speaking of demonic slimes and demonic waste and stuff like that, Descent into Avernus comes out relatively soon, and once I get my hands on that, I plan on doing like a breakdown, and I'll talk about like adapting some of the stuff in adventures and like the adventure books into your own homebrew in some way, because not everything that's presented in the adventure books can be used in your personal settings. And that's what this is giving y'all personal settings, giving y'all stuff that you can use in your own way. Anyway, thank you everyone. Y'all have a great day. I'm just rambling at this point. Look at these dice. Follow us and you have a chance to win these dice. Bye.